Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Payman Taei on the line, and he's founder over at Visme. Payman, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so you have a really interesting story of bootstrapping and growing companies. Just to get us kicked off, though, let's get into what you're doing over at Visme. So tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are basically empowering anyone, mostly, non-designers, to be able to become better visual communicators. Long story short, our tool is made for anyone who wants to create beautiful presentations, charts, maps, data, infographics, social graphics. It's an all-in-one visual communication tool, very different than some of the others out there.
So I know there's some differences. Let's kind of maybe do a little bit of a comparison there. So like somebody might say, okay, like a PowerPoint or something else like that is what some people may use. What would be some differences that you would point out?
Absolutely. So here's how I would lay it out. If you have ever created a presentation, you may have used a tool such as Google Slides, PowerPoint, maybe Prezi, and so on. If you've ever wanted to create a graphic, you may have used a tool such as Canva or maybe Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop and so on. Our tool sits in between both sides. It is where there are tools that are dumbed down or they're very light to allow you to have a endpoint very quickly, which means you're kind of going to have a cookie cutter solution at the end, right? It's good for people that are just getting started out. On the other side of the coin, you have tools that are very powerful and great, such as Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and so on, but they're really meant for the high professionals with a higher learning curve, and they give you a ton of power. What we've done, and we spent over 6.5 years doing, creating Visme, is where we are sitting in between the both. We bring together, we're bridging the gap between the highly powerful tools and the very dumbed down tools, and bringing it to a balance where you get the best of both worlds. That's what Visme is. So as a presentation tool, because you can pretty much use it to create different types of content, such as presentations. It's PowerPoint on steroids. It's PowerPoint because you get beautiful templates, you get thousands of beautiful icons that you can easily change the color, big and small as you want. We give you animated character, animated gestures that you can do hand motions and so on. You can put characters on the stage. You can change the color from skin to midlight to dark tone. You can change the color of the clothes if you want to. We give you powerful charting with over 20-something charts. And so you can have the ability to save slides and reuse them later. You can take groups of content and save them and bring it back again for your next presentation. So it's just, it's a conglomerate of all of those together. When I start talking about it, something percent of our users are not designers, and they have a great outcome because we spend so much time creating an interface in a manner that you're going to feel just as home as being a former PowerPoint user. And you're going to feel just home as far as using some other tools out there. It's not different in terms of the setup, but yet once you start using it, there's these little layers like an onion that you peel. If you want to take it further, if you want to customize this, if you want to adjust the colors, you want to add variables to your chart, you can do those if you want to.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'll just tell you, what's funny is when you were describing that, I was like, I'm right in between there. You described the perfect product for us. I'm not that advanced. I don't want to use some of the really, really advanced tools. It take me forever just to open them. But I've kind of through the years outgrown some of the other, let's just say really, really light tools to where it's it's annoying. I can't do this. I can't do that. Why can't I just? So now we have Visme. I love this. What kind of businesses would you say that this is, or entrepreneurs, would you say that Visme is appropriate for? So meaning is it enterprise, is it small business, is it, you know what I mean?
All of the above, which makes it actually a little bit challenging from a marketing perspective, an ad perspective, from a promotional perspective, because usually, 101, marketing 101, segment to your audience, and then serve them, what you want. In our case, the common denominator is that our audience, regardless of what walk of life they are, what industry they are, how old they are, how young they are, they want to have piece of content that they create, that their product makes them unique. It stands out over all the other content that's out there. Maybe it's just a social graphic that you want to do. So we have these animated illustrations. Change the text. You grab it for as a video. I'm going to have the best tool, everything you can get. It starts with your content. Have something established. Once you know that the tool medium that Visme really allows to do that. Now, as far as audiences, who are the individuals that use it? What are the companies that are using it? We have a whole gamut. We have users from Capital One all the way to IBM, and we have, there's just all over from all industries. And then at the same time, there's students and educators, 37 to 38% of our registered users. And then on the other side, we have a lot of nonprofits who can use Visme to A, save money in design costs, B, to be able to better tell stories or be able to collect donations and so on through the content that they create. We have the large companies and corporations that are using Visme over, let's say, PowerPoint and other tools. Why? Because they've seen the advantage and they see what it's doing for them. And it allows them to be more productive, more efficient, allows them to have their branding styles locked down. Even though we're free form, we can do a lot. At the same time, from the team plans that we have for enterprise, they can actually go down, the designer in that team or the marketing person can go in and lock every object down as they like and completely hide all our fonts, all our templates, even, our icons, and they can actually have their own. So we give the flexibility for those organizations to be able to actually set restrictions that are bound by their branding guidelines.
Wow, that's huge. So then, even though it sits in between the two places, it has a workflow management for brand guidelines on the inside. So that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome, especially for a lot of the companies out there that maybe they have their senior designers, but then they have let's just say the more junior, just getting started, and they can still do a lot of meaningful work, but they also don't want them to be in charge of the entire brand and design. It just saves a lot of time to be able to lock those things in.
It does, and here's the thing. I'm a designer, and that's how this all started. I ran an web agency for a number of years, and then I created hundreds of website interfaces and designs and so on. So I saw firsthand what it means for, let's say, companies that are coming in and they need design help and so on. So here's the other way that I can explain it. Our tool is not meant to get rid of designers, right? Actually, our goal is that when it comes to most people and when it comes to companies, that the average person who is not a designer should be able to have a nice looking presentation or content piece that they can create. And so that they don't have to every single day go to the designer out there I need you to change the content on this text because I'm scared to move it around, or I need another slide added for such and such. So the designers are actually appreciating us. They can actually have the designer focus on creating templates or creating certain details and slides and so on. The next time they go to create a presentation, they are adhering to the guidelines he or she has set, and yet they have the flexibility to make those little minute changes. So they don't have to keep bothering the designer. The designer can focus on what they do best. There's nothing more frustrating than a designer not to be able to focus on what they really like doing. That's creating beautiful graphics and designs and so on, but then to sit down and do text updates. That's how design works. That's not meant for designers. It's kind of like web developers and web designers in the past, where you hire them to create a website for you, and then maintenance-wise, you keep going and say, I need you to change the title of this person to that because you don't have a content management system.
And they're like, that's come on.
What it is.
Yeah, it's a waste of their time, for sure.
Yeah.
So Payman, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Visme, what's the best way for them to get that?
Yes, so you can, Visme, just Google Visme, Visme. You can go to visme.com, visme.co. Either way, you're going to end up on our site. Those are all our properties. And if you want to connect with me, you can go on LinkedIn and then put my first name and last name in. Promise you're not going to get any results other than just me. There's nobody else with my first name and last name.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Payman, it's been awesome having you on the show today. Appreciate you sharing your story, and also, all the great work you're doing at Visme to make some of us non-designers look like we got the taste of a designer. I'm in. I love it. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Leave us some reviews. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, leave us some comments on the video and let us know what you thought and let us know what you're working on. Love to connect with you there. And Payman, thanks again for coming on the show.